Hey all, welcome back to the frying pan of the Chrispy Fried Take Sports Podcast, where I give you some of the crispiest takes possible or some that are just incredibly burnt. I'm your host Chrispy, and today in the frying pan I review my March Madness bracket, which is horrendous by the way, and I hopefully bounce back, and now that the round of 32 over, I can accurately predict the national champion that will win the title. I also give you a way too early MLB season predictions in the spirit of opening day this Thursday. I also go over the new NFL rules. And from burnt to crispy, I rank the top Easter Candies. And always, to close out the show, what happened today in sports history. It's March 26, 2024, so let's get sizzling. Out of 22 million brackets submitted on ESPN, the Chrispy Fried Takes Podcast March Madness bracket ranks 6.9 million, which is okay. That's a 74%. That's 74% correct. We'll take it, but certainly wasn't my best. And so here, I'm going to go over my March Madness picks from last week, and I'm going to make a prediction on who I think will win it all based off this weekend, because no one really knows what's going to happen in the round of 64, the first round. But once you kind of get an indication of what's happening, I feel like I can more accurately predict the champion. And which basically by that means is just I didn't make a good bracket earlier. So here, first off, I'd like to give you this fact, because I like to pick upsets. And this year, there were some upsets, but not to the extent that we usually get, because this is, where is it? I saw it earlier. Oh, this is the fifth time ever all 8 number 1 and number 2 seeds made the Sweet 16. Happened this year. 2018 to 2019 was the last time it happened. Then 2008 to 2009, and then 94 to 95 and 88 to 89. So, I mean, it doesn't really happen that much, and I like to pick upsets, and they didn't really get to happen as much. But I'll take it. I'm going over my bracket right now. And so in the West, in the first, actually not the West, it's the East. Yes, the East. I predicted UConn. I think everyone predicted UConn. I have them as my champions. And so everyone predicted them. The only thing surprising about UConn was how bad they beat all the other teams. They beat Stetson by nearly 40. They beat Northwestern by nearly 20. So that's pretty impressive for the first and second round matchups. Let's see. I had FAU over Northwestern. That was a 50-50 game. That's fine. San Diego State I had correct. That was a surprise. The surprise of this region was 100% Auburn losing to Yale. And if you didn't know, Yale doesn't offer any athletic scholarships because they're an Ivy League school. So basically Auburn just got beat by a bunch of walk-ons. So yeah, they didn't do well then. So I didn't see that coming at all. So that was a surprise, and Bruce Pearl's really built that program up, and they really couldn't get it done now. So that's kind of disheartening. I did predict Duquesne over BYU. I don't even know why. I think I just like Duquesne's logo, honestly. And then let's see here. Oh no, don't do that on my screen. My screen just kind of went crazy. Oh, here we go. And then let's see. I had Illinois over Morehead State. I had that right. Illinois, the Iowa State region I had going. I just didn't have Washington State beating Drake. But again, that was a 50-50 game, so I'm not too upset about that. So for the Sweet 16, for my Sweet 16, I had 3 of the 4 right in the East region. So that's not bad. The West region is kind of where I screwed up a lot. I didn't make the right picks. North Carolina, impressive. I think everyone had them. I actually Michigan State beating Mississippi State, which is kind of surprising because Tom Izzo's team hasn't done well lately, but they really showed up for that first round. And most of the second round, they were in the game. The score doesn't do them justice, 85 to 69. North Carolina beat them by that much, but they're really close for like most of the game. They just kind of let it slip away from them. Now, I had GCU beating St. Mary's, but I had GCU beating Alabama. And GCU could have won that game. They just fell into the trap of Alabama likes to play fast-paced offense, and GCU really likes to stick to their play calling and everything. I can't think of that, but they like to set their own pace, and they just kind of fell into Alabama's trap. But I had New Mexico beating Clemson and Baylor beating Colgate. Clemson was right, or no, not Clemson. Clemson was wrong. I did not have Clemson making it to the Sweet 16. I had Baylor beating Colgate, but I had Baylor in my Sweet 16. I had Baylor in my Elite 8, actually. So that was a surprise. I had Arizona losing, and then, okay. I had Nevada beating Dayton. That didn't happen. Nevada was up by like 17, and Nevada came back in the final 10. Or Nevada was up by 17, and Dayton came back in the final 10 minutes. That was crazy. I had Long Beach over Arizona. I thought Long Beach had a great story, and they would have made it with their head coach and everything. Like Long Beach before the tournament started, they and their coach mutually agreed to part ways, and he still coached them to this tournament, which is crazy. But Arizona looked really good this season. They usually don't. So in the West region, I only had one of the four correct, and that's the 1 seed, so that doesn't really mean that much. And then if I move to the South's kind of like the fun part of the tournament, I'd say. Obviously, I had Houston winning. Houston almost lost to A&M. They had to go to overtime because A&M hit a buzzer beater to send it there. And if A&M would have made their free throws, Houston probably would have been out of the tournament. A&M went like 50%. And so I had A&M over Nebraska. That was right. So Houston's in the Sweet 16. I had Wisconsin over JMU. I don't know. That probably wasn't the right pick. That wasn't because JMU won. And then JMU got killed by Duke. I did have Duke going to my Sweet 16, so it's not that bad there. And then kind of we have upset city in the west part of the tournament because NC State beat Tech. And I had that pick actually because I saw them in the conference championship and they looked good. And Tech was kind of sliding a lot. But what I did not have in that part was Oakland beating Kentucky with Jack Golke. Wow, what a shooter. What a sharpshooter they have right there. I mean, that guy shot lights out for Oakland against Kentucky. I mean, you should go watch like the replay of all his threes made on YouTube, and you can proceed to see John Calipari's reaction to every single three made, and he just like gets like the first two he's like, okay, this guy's lucky, and then he's like, oh my gosh, we're getting killed by like a collegiate Steph Curry or something like that. So Oakland and NC State was a fun matchup. Jack Golke couldn't get it done, but DJ Burns on NC State, man, that boy's built like a lineman. Man, he kills everyone he can because he has unmatched strength. The basketball players here don't have as much strength that he is. He's just big, and he killed him. So that was pretty surprising. And then in my West, I guess. No, not the West. The South. Can we talk about Colorado and Florida? 102-100 in the first round. That's insane offense. For college basketball, the average score in college basketball is a 136, like total. The score for this game, total score is 202. That's that's higher than like some NBA scores. So that's a surprise. Colorado Florida was a 50-50 game. Colorado won. Colorado almost beat Marquette. Marquette won the last kind of the low end of the bracket on the South region. Yes. So Marquette beat Western Kentucky, and Colorado and Marquette played close. It wasn't super high scoring. It was relatively high scoring. Marquette won 81-77. So I have Marquette versus NC State, and that of the Sweet 16. In the South region, I was 4 for 4 in that region for my Sweet 16 team. So that's not bad. That is not bad at all. Good for me. Good for me. In the Midwest, I did not expect Purdue to do this well. I mean, I had them going to the Sweet 16. They beat both their teams pretty handily. I actually had Utah State beating TCU, And I had Gonzaga over McNeese. McNeese was not as good as I thought they did. McNeese was not as good as I thought they could have been. I had Samford over Kansas. Samford could have won that game. There was a bad call. There was a bad, super bad call because there was like 30 seconds left, and Kansas was up by like 1. Or not up by 1. They were up by 2 and or something. It was like really close. And then Kansas went to go in for a dunk. Samford was pressing him. Then Kansas found an open guy, and he had a wide open dunk. And the Samford dude comes out of nowhere and blocks him, but they call it a foul. And you look at the replay, and it's the cleanest block you'll ever see. So Kansas kind of won. They won that game, but they proceeded to get beat by Gonzaga badly. So it probably should have been Samford winning that. So, yeah, that was, I don't know. That was interesting. I had Gonzaga beating Kansas, so Gonzaga versus Purdue is going to be a great Sweet 16 matchup. I kind of did okay at the end. I had South Carolina beating Oregon. Oregon won. Oregon and Creighton went to double overtime. Creighton beat Akron handily, and when Oregon played Creighton in the round of 32, Creighton, like, that was a crazy game. Oregon really only had 2 players. They both, like, dropped, like, 30 points, and they just got gas at the end. Creighton more had a team basketball dynamic, and they just beat them. Then Texas beat Colorado State. Tennessee beat St. Peter's, and when Tennessee and Texas played, it was relatively close, but Tennessee pulled it out with Dalton Connect. And so the Sweet 16 looks good. And so basically that left me, so my prediction got 6.9 million, which is still good. I don't know. But in the ESPN ranking, like, the first 2 rounds don't mean as much, because if you can just keep your Final Four alive, it's worth way more points than the first 2 rounds combined. So my goal is, if UConn and North Carolina and Gonzaga and Houston can stay alive, I'm good. Gonzaga is kind of that sneaky pit. I really need them to beat Purdue, or else my bracket's more toast than it is right now. But so now that I have it, now here's like the second chance. Now I can predict who I think will be the national champion all the way now. Now I've seen it. These are going to be my predictions. And also before I make this, we could have a first-time champion, because only 6 teams out of the Sweet 16, so 6 out of 16 teams have won a championship, have won the national championship before. So the teams that have won a championship before: UConn, North Carolina, Arizona, Duke, NC State, and Marquette. But NC State, and some of these teams haven't won in a while, but they still won. The never won are Gonzaga, Purdue, Iowa State, Clemson, Tennessee, Alabama, Illinois, U of H, Creighton, and San Diego State. So we could have a first-time national champion. The only problem is probably the best team, and 2 of the best teams are 1 seeds that have won before: UConn, North Carolina, and the other teams that have won are good too. So with all of that, here's what I think. I think UConn beats San Diego State. Now, I think this game is a lot closer than what people may think, because UConn has beaten their teams badly, but this is a rematch of the national championship. You can't think San Diego State would try just a little harder more than what anyone usually does. So I think this San Diego State will be within 10. I think UConn will beat them horrendously. Then Illinois versus Iowa State's interesting. Iowa State kind of struggled a little bit against Washington State. If they can get the offense rolling, they beat Illinois, but I don't know. I think I could see Illinois. This is a Big 10 versus Big 12 conference champion matchup, and I think deep down, I'd go with Illinois actually over Iowa State. But that's a 50-50 game, but I'm going to go Illinois. Illinois and UConn make it to the Elite Eight, and I think UConn beats Illinois, and UConn makes the Final Four. But now it's North Carolina, Alabama in the West for the Sweet 16. I could see North Carolina winning against Bama, but I could see Bama. It depends who controls the pace. They play such different paces of basketball. Alabama loves to be lights out, just fast, and a lot of teams fall into that trap. And I don't know, if North Carolina's a week to just prepare for Alabama, I think North Carolina would win. And they really want that national championship, because last season they didn't even make it. So 2 seasons ago they made the national championship, and then this last season they didn't. They didn't even make the tournament. So now they're really out for blood. And their star player Baycott was there during that time period, and so he wants to win. So I'm going to go North Carolina. And then Clemson and Arizona is the most interesting game. Actually, it's one of the more interesting games because I don't know anything about these teams. Clemson I didn't even look at because I thought they were going to lose early, because they've been struggling. They were like 10-10 their last 20 games entering the tournament. They just started really good at the season. And Arizona has been dominant. They've never been dominant before in the tournament. So I don't know. But I think, honestly, I've seen Arizona play more than Clemson, so I'm going to go with Arizona. So Arizona versus North Carolina, and that's a close game. That's another close game, but I think North Carolina really wants to win. I think they want to win more. So I'm going to go North Carolina over Arizona, and they make the Final Four. It's not much different than what my bracket was earlier, but I could see any of these teams making it to the Final Four in this region. North Carolina, Alabama, Clemson, Arizona. I could see any of them. I'm just going with the 1 seed. Now, the South's kind of like the fun region. You got Houston and Duke That's going to be a great game. Houston with lockdown defense. Duke with Kyle Filipowski, but Kyle Filipowski hasn't done that much. He's been kind of double teamed, but Houston's lockdown defense. They're motivated. They want to play. So I'm going to go with Houston. I don't like Duke, and I think Houston's going to make it. And NC State versus Marquette. I don't think anyone can stop DJ Burns unless he beats himself. So I'm going with NC State over Marquette. Now, I guess this isn't really much different than my other bracket, but I'm just saying what I think. And then I've got, I think I may have NC State going to the Final Four, actually, over Houston. DJ Burns, I didn't see anyone on Houston that could really stop him when I've seen them play, so I'm going them. I'm going NC State to the Final Four. In the Midwest, I've got Purdue versus Gonzaga. They've got Purdue versus Gonzaga and Creighton versus Tennessee. And I know I picked Gonzaga to make it to the championship in my first bracket, but I think Purdue's going to make it. Purdue just looks good. Zach Edey looks way better than he's ever been, and they're playing team basketball. And I just think they're just better than Gonzaga. If both teams are on, Purdue wins. Now, if Purdue's off a little bit and Gonzaga's on, I don't know. That'll be interesting. And then Creighton versus Tennessee is a toss-up. I don't know. They play two different styles of play, it seems like. And but I'm just going to go with the SEC champs. I'm going to go with Tennessee. You got Tennessee versus Purdue, and I'm going to go Purdue. I think Purdue, NC State, UConn, and North Carolina are the Final Four. And honestly, I'm going to go UConn. UConn just looks crazy good. And I think DJ Burns may end here with going against Zach Edey, but that could be another game. That could be an interesting game if that ever happens. So I'm going to have Purdue and UConn in the final and the championship game. I've got UConn going back to back. UConn just looks wicked good. I've been seeing them play. They may fall into a trap one game, but they are just seem to be well coached and to play really, really good basketball. And that's just crazy to me how good they've been playing. And also, I'd like to bring up one other thing before I end the college basketball segment. Here's some Sweet 16 facts before we go. The Big East is undefeated in the NCAA tournament. They had 3 teams make it, and they're 6-0. The ACC is 8-1. 8-1. The only one loss was Virginia, who got in the plan, and they shouldn't even made it. That was dumb. So really, the ACC should be undefeated. The Pac-12 has done good. The WCC has been good. The Big Ten's done pretty good. The Big 12, and guess what? The big shocker for the team, the SEC lost so many teams at the beginning. They're 5-6 in the tournament, and so I don't know. I think SEC basketball is still on the rise, but I think the Big East and ACC should get the most basketball teams in the tournament, no matter what. Because even it looked like a down year for the ACC, and they're still doing better than everyone else nearly. And so those are just my predictions on March Madness. That's how I see it. It'll be interesting. 100%. But I'm excited to see how this plays out. The games are Thursday and Friday again, and Saturday, Sunday. So very excited. Can't wait to see it. Those are my March Madness predictions. MLB opening day is upon us this Thursday. Your favorite baseball team is back. Well, unless you're the Dodgers and the Padres. They played in Korea, and we'll get into that later because some things happen over there, and it was quite interesting. But I'm going to give you a way too early MLB opening day, or not opening day, I guess, but playoff predictions. And before I get to that, let's talk about the Houston Astros and the Texas Rangers. The Astros are going to beat them. I think the Astros are going to beat the Texas Rangers. And now that this may be because I'm an Astros fan, but the Rangers, nope, they're losing. I think the Astros get better because we lose one player. We lost Martin Maldonado. And he was a good catcher, but he was one of the worst hitters on the team. He was the worst hitter on the team, actually. He's one of the worst hitters I've seen. We get Yainer Diaz, and he's catcher, and he has a really good batting average. And so the offense should be on this year, barring injuries. Knock on wood. But that should be good. And now I'm not dissing the Texas Rangers at all, because they get Wyatt Langford from Florida, who's a Rookie of the Year candidate already. He's a stud. he's and they've got Evan Carter, who only played for the Rangers for like 3 months when they won the World Series. He was a rookie then. I guess he's still a rookie now. So that is going to be an epic series. But the Astros, far and away, I think are going to win the World. I think they're going to go all the way. I think they're going to win the World Series this year. I'll tell you that right now. But the teams that I do have making the playoffs, I guess we'll keep it in the American League because we're talking about the Astros and the Rangers. But goodness gracious, my voice is dry. But anyway, the American League, I'll start with the AL East. I think the Yankees, if they stay healthy, they're going to the playoffs. They had Aaron Judge to hurt a lot. And Giancarlo Stanton lost a substantial amount of weight. If their pitcher is back on with Garrett Cole, if he's back on, I see no reason why the Yankees can't make the playoffs. And the other team from the AL East that I have making the playoffs, the Baltimore Orioles. Man, I said that fast. But I have the Baltimore Orioles making it. They're a very young team, and they were really good last year. So I see no reason why they can't improve. That's going to be tough for the rest of the American League, those two teams, because there's a lot of other good teams, but those two teams from the AL East I think are just better. Now the AL Central, I only have one team getting out, and that's the Minnesota Twins going back-to-back. I think Carlos Correa will just will the team to go back, a former Astro. By the way, former Astros do really good on all the other teams. Just point that out. And former Rangers don't do as good, I think. Just going to point that out. But I do think out of everyone in that team, the White Sox are still rebuilding, the Royals still rebuilding, the Tigers still rebuilding. So it's really between the Guardians and the Twins. The Guardians lost their incredible manager last season. He retired. So it's really the Twins conference to lose. And then you go to the AL West. And I've got the Rangers and Astros obviously making the playoffs. They're obviously, I think, if there's three really good teams in the American League, Astros and Rangers are two of them. They're playing great baseball. It'll be great to see them play each other, but all these other teams, it'll be great to see them play. And that leaves two spots. So there's 6 teams that make the playoffs in each league, I guess. And I guess that narrows down to the Rays, but they lost Glass now. But the Rays, the Blue Jays, the Guardians, and the Mariners. So what 2 of the 4 do I think will make the playoffs? Well, one of them will be the Blue Jays. They barely missed the playoffs last season, and they're going to be hurt. George Springer, former Astro, I think he'll do really good this year. I think the rest of the team, Bo Bichette, I think he'll do amazing. I think the Blue Jays are going to get it this year. I think they're going to get it down. Now, who's the last team? I think the Mariners. I think the Mariners will make it out to the playoffs. They barely missed it. They made a strong push last season, but they barely missed it. And so I think they'll make the playoffs. And so who do I have in the AL American League Championship this season? Well, Astros are obvious. I think it's an Astros and Rangers rematch because those are just the 2 best teams in baseball. They're just the 2 best teams. By far, by away. Now, the Yankees could do it because Aaron Judge is there and everything, and Aaron Judge is just a beast. The Orioles could do it too, but I would not be surprised if the Rangers and the Astros, as long as they don't play each other before then, I think it's the Rangers and Astros. I could also see the Orioles getting there too, but I think it's the Rangers and the Astros for sure. Now, in the National League, I have... Let's see here. We'll start with the East, the NL East. I've got the Braves, obviously. If the Braves do not make the playoffs this season, it'll be one of the most shocking things ever. But I have the Braves making the playoffs, obviously. I've got the Phillies as well. Those are 2 teams I think are just going to they're just good. They're just good at playing baseball. Matter of fact. Now the Cubs, they're the NL Central. I have only one team from here, from the NL Central. You got the Cardinals, Cubs, Brewers, Pirates, and Reds. And really only 2 teams are competing this for, again, the Brewers and the Cubs. But I definitely have the Cubs making. They got Cody Bellinger. They re-signed Dansby Swanson. That's going to be a good team. It's going to be a good team. And I think their pitching has improved. So I've got the Cubs making it, and Chicago would just love that. And I think the baseball world is better when the Cubs are good. And then in the NL West, I've got 3 teams making it from here. The Dodgers are obvious, and we'll get into the Shohei stuff. Don't you worry. We're going to get into that Shohei stuff in a bit, because that's a whole entire other thing. That's wild. And so I've got the Dodgers making it. I got the Diamondbacks. I may be a little surprised, but they were a very young team last season. They made the World Series. I don't think there's any reason. They don't really lose anyone. I don't think there's any reason why they can't make the playoffs again. And so my last team, I've got the Padres over the Giants. Now, the Giants, I think, are going to be good next season, but I think the Padres are just better with Manny Machado, Fernando Tatis Jr., and just everyone else. I think they're going to get to the playoffs. I think they may win a series. They didn't win one last season. So that's who I think. And now, out of all the National League, who I think is making the World Series, I think it's the Dodgers versus the Astros in the World Series. I think the Astros are going to win. That's maybe a little bit of a bias, but the Astros are going to win. I think the Astros are going to get 8 straight ALCS, make it to the World Series, and win it all. I'll be the happiest person ever. Maybe I'm just fantasizing a little bit, but it is what it is. It's too early to tell. It's way too early playoff predictions. And I'm just overall excited about opening day because I love watching baseball because you can play baseball at any time. The thing I don't like with the NBA right now is that like NBA games are always on at like 6 to like 10. They have games that start at like 9 or 9:30 p.m. Baseball they can play at 11 a.m. You can play all day. You can just turn on your laptop, turn on your phone, turn on your TV, and you can watch baseball. It's great. So that's why I'm very excited. And with MLB opening day, that means the Masters is coming up too, and that's very exciting as well. Now, we'll kind of transition here. We'll keep it in the MLB, but we got to talk about Shohei and his interpreter. Now that's a crazy story in itself. So here's the story. Let's set the scene. I'll set the scene for everyone. Shohei has his interpreter, Ippei Mizuhara. I probably butchered that, but we'll go with it. Now, Ippei Mizuhara, we'll just go Ippei. Ippei has probably one of the greatest jobs in the world. He gets to be Shohei Ohtani's interpreter. And so way back in the day when Shohei was just playing Japanese ball before he made it over here to the majors, he hired Ippei as his translator. He hired him as his translator before he came here. So he met him when he was in Japanese ball, and he hired him as his translator. And so Shohei made his jump over to the major league, and he's like, I'm going to bring my interpreter with me. Why not? We're good friends. And so Ippei gets to hang out with Shohei all the time. And Shohei is probably the best baseball player we have in the league. He is the best baseball player in the league right now. He can pitch, he can hit. He's a top 5 in both category. And Ippei is just a translator. And guess what? He gets to hang out with him all the time. He gets to hang out Shohei used to play for the Angels and the Dodgers. He gets to hang out in all the clubhouse. He gets to hang out with the players for just being a translator. And Shohei is starting to learn English now. He may not be confident, but he definitely doesn't need Ippei as much as he used to. But he just keeps Ippei around because he's good friends. It's nice to have another Japanese friend that you can speak your home language to. And then, so he's living the life. He has probably the best job, one of the best jobs in the world. And then we get to the Seoul series in South Korea. Now, opening day is Thursday, but the MLB did a special where the Dodgers and Padres will play 2 games in South Korea to kind of start the season. They played it last week. And in the clubhouse in South Korea, Ippei announced to the team that he stole $4.5 million from Shohei Ohtani. Well, we'll put quotations around that because we don't know for sure yet. To place bets. Oh my goodness. To place bets illegally. And he lied and stole them. And the thing is, though, and there's so many different articles that you don't even know which one's true, but like the first article that came out was Ippei stole $4.5 million to place bets, and Shohei Ohtani paid the bookie off, and they just tried to keep quiet because Shohei learned that you can't do that. So they just try to keep quiet. And then the story just keeps on changing because How, like, if Epé stole the money from Shohei's bank account, how do you not notice $4.5 million leaving your bank account? They say roughly, another news article said that $500,000 left. There were 7 different payments of $500,000 that left Shohei's bank account. How do you not notice that? I mean, I notice when $2 leaves my bank account. I don't know how you notice that. And granted, well, I don't know. It's just crazy. Because Shohei has $700 million now with his new contract with the Dodgers. I don't know what happened. I don't know what Epé was thinking. And then it gets crazier because people are now uncovering he has a resume, apparently, that says he went to school at California Riverside growing up before he met Shohei. And they said that he never went there. And so he lied about that, and he lied about working for the Red Sox before he met Shohei. Like, he said he worked for the Red Sox, found out he never worked for him. So here's the other thing. So now we have all that. We're placing all the blame of Epé. Now some people are thinking, here's the kind of conspiracy theory. Some people are saying Shohei bet the money and Epé is just the fall guy, which is kind of plausible. Because how do you not realize $4.5 million leaving your bank account? Like, how do you not do that? And it's just crazy. And Epé is just the fall guy. That's kind of also what people are thinking. And it's just wild. That's just a wild thing. That's just crazy. And now MLB is doing an investigation, and we'll see what's true, what's not. Shohei made a statement, like, I think today, actually. And he said he just made a statement, like, I did not gamble. I did not know my interpreter was doing this. And I'm not involved in gambling in any way. Now, the consensus is that they never placed a bet on MLB games. So they may be out of the clear on that. But I don't know. Well, that story's going to keep on uncovering. Now, we'll see if the MLB actually punishes Shohei for anything. Because he is their star player. He gets the most, he brings the most money because the whole entire continent of Asia is rooting for Shohei. So if you ban him, if you like make him not play, let's say they went streaming, they made him not play for a season. They're losing so much money. So maybe we'll get preferential treatment. They'll just not ban him. They'll just pay a small fine. We will see. And so that's kind of the drama going into MLB opening day. And let me just say, it will be an exciting season to watch. The NFL, or as I like to call it, the No Fun League, has introduced some new rules. Very recently, as of today, we found out some more rules. And the major one is that the NFL has banned the hip drop tackle. Now, if you're unfamiliar with, like, if you can't think of what tackle it is, it's pretty literal. So imagine a running back's running down the field and you're a defender kind of at an angle chasing behind him and you can't really catch him. You may go for his hips and try and make him fall, which is a normal tackle. If you look at if you looked up, like, I bet someone's already made a YouTube clip of it, but I bet if you looked up YouTube clips of hip drop tackles, it very much looks like a normal tackle. And it's just crazy to me that the NFL is doing it because defenders are already at a disadvantage with all the cheap roughing the passer calls like they do in Patrick Mahomes. And I mean, they just don't get anything. Cornerbacks and safeties already have it hard enough with the holding calls and everything. I mean, you're just making it harder to play defense. Like, it's going to be flag football in a few years, honestly, if they keep this up, because it's just ridiculous for defenders. You can't teach them to tackle. I get the rules on, like, targeting for safety or whatever, because that's clear. You don't want to have someone just 250-pound dude just, like, run to someone in their head. That makes sense. But all these other rules, like this hip drop tackle, it's ridiculous that the defense can't play defense. And if I was an NFL team, I'd be like, we're not going to pay that many defenders because we just need a whole lot of offense and we win games because the defense can't stop anything. It's going to be like 70-63 in these football games. And guess what? The hip drop tackle is not even like a 5-yard penalty or something small. It's a 15-yard penalty. So the refs have so much control of the game now because they could be like, it's very hard to judge a hip drop tackle because it's very quick. You can't really tell sometimes. The refs have so much control. They could be like, I don't know. That's a hip drop tackle. They could call flag and literally change the game. They get 15 yards down the field. The only thing the NFL has to cite is that they say it's 25 times more likely to be injured on that play. And I guess that's true, but I think you're more likely to you're going to get injured on any play on the field. And guess what? If they really cared about their players, they would have put grass field into all of the NFL stands because artificial turf injures way more players. It's just absolutely ridiculous. You know, the 2010s were like the golden age where like it's like Tom Brady was still pretty young. You know, everyone was still young, and you just get to hit people like Ray Lewis. Like Ray Lewis would not be Ray Lewis in the NFL with these rules because he can't do anything. All his big highlights are now flags, penalties. It's just dumb. It's just dumb. Now, the only benefit is that running backs have a huge advantage because Derrick Henry is going to destroy people this season. I mean, even though he was injured last season, he's going to destroy people because guess what? He's so big. It's hard to tackle him. Literally, some of the only ways you can tackle him is hip drop tackle. If you're from behind, oh my goodness. These safeties and corners, the only way they can tackle him is by hip drop. So he's just going to get so many yards because it's going to be a flag every time someone tries to tackle him, honestly. And so that's just crazy to me. Now, the other big rule in the NFL, I'm not a big fan of the hip drop. That's just, if you can't tell, not a fan. Now, the other big rule, let's see here. There's a lot of things that just happened. The NFL is introducing new kickoff rules. The kickoffs are going to change significantly. Now, we'll go over. Now, if you've watched the XFL, it's going to look like that. They're going with the XFL rules because they want like more action on kickoffs and everything. And it'll be kind of crazy to me because I don't even know how to explain this. So basically, I actually found this post. Okay. So the teams can have a maximum, so they're going to line up. So it's going to be a hybrid kickoff. So you're going to have the kicking team and the return team. The kicking team will all be lined up in a line, they'll all be lined up in a line, and the return team will all be lined up in a line. Besides for two players on the return team, they'll be on the field one will be on the right side of the field, one will be on the left side of the field to return. And the kicking team can't move until the ball hits in the landing zone or is fielded there, which means there's no more fair catches in the NFL. So basically, the NFL wants more action on kickoffs without injuries. And so if the kick doesn't reach the landing zone, the ball is placed at the 40, and if it goes out of the end zone or flies into the end zone and is down, the ball is at the 35. If it hits in the landing zone and rolls into what's the EZ? I don't even know what that is. It is down, ball is at the 20. Oh, end zone. What am I thinking? And rolls into the end zone and is down, the ball is at the 20. If it's caught in the landing zone, it must be returned. And there could be a potential of no more kickoff holders because they say if conditions cause ball to fall off the tee twice, the kicker will be allowed to use a kicking stick. Wow. A kicking stick. To use the kicking stick to keep the ball in the play, and the closest covering official will pick up the stick immediately after the kick. Wow. There's a lot. This is a big rule. And one last thing, if the ball lands in the lanes, it goes out of bounds, the current rules apply, the ball will be placed at the 40. I mean, that's crazy. And the vote for this rule was 29-3. Green Bay, Las Vegas, and San Francisco voted against it. But here's the other thing. That means it basically eliminates onside kicks. Because onside kicks are already hard enough. And this is what they want on onside kicks. If a team is trailing in the fourth quarter, they may declare an onside kick by notifying the referee. The referee will then notify the receiving team. So no more surprise, the onside kicks. So basically, you have to let the team know, hey, we're going to try and trick you. We're going to try to do something fancy so we can get the ball back. You have to notify teams. That's ridiculous. I like the old NFL kickoff rules. It's fun. I don't even mind that teams returning. You just get more offense. That teams don't return. You just get more QB play. So that's pretty crazy to me that they're doing that. NFL's going to look really different. And here's some other minor rules. Let me pull it up, honestly. Oh my goodness. If my thing will load, I could tell you the rules. All right, here we go. In more NFL news, The NFL plans to play on Christmas Day again. Now you may be like, we played on Christmas Day last year, but that was because it was on a Monday. They'll play on Christmas Day in 2024, even though it falls on a Wednesday, because Christmas Day draws massive TV ratings. And you know what? I don't think this is right. The Christmas Day goes to the Lord, and the only sporting association that should play on that is the NBA. They've marketed Christmas as long as I can remember, and NFL just is trying to trump on everyone and just, like, I think it's crazy. On a Wednesday, that's such a disservice to the players. A Wednesday, no one wants to play on a Wednesday because it just ruins the whole week. I mean, there's already so much injuries. If they're really about preventing injuries, then they wouldn't do that. But that's dumb. The NFL's dumb. Roger Goodell, all the owners, they're just not. It should be the NFL Players Association that makes all these rules, because the players are the one playing, not the owners. I get the owners want to protect their investments and the league wants to protect all the players, but sometimes enough is enough. You're doing too much for profit. The NFL has also changed the trade deadline by 1 week, which means the trade deadline will now take place following the Tuesday after Week 9 games. That's kind of a little interesting. A little extra week to decide the trades. I don't mind that. That's okay. Now, here's an interesting rule. A new change. The NFL will now allow teams to promote a practice squad QB to the active roster for game days as an emergency third quarterback in a limited amount of times during a season. So every NFL team will have like an emergency goalie. Like in hockey, they have emergency goalies. So basically what happens in hockey is that every home game, the team who's at home will provide an emergency goalie. Basically, they have limited hockey experience, and so that way, if either team's goalie, both goalies are starting and the backup get hurt, they have this emergency goalie to play. And the NFL's doing this because not this previous season, but the season before, when the 49ers literally ran out of quarterbacks. They're having like Christian McCaffrey and shotgun. So that way teams are still in it, even if like all options are gone. So that's not bad. I don't mind that. It's a pretty good rule. It's just the major things. Like the small rules don't seem to be bad. It's just these major rules that are just disgusting. And okay. So you can only onside kick apparently in the fourth quarter. I did not know that. While trailing. So okay. I thought it was just you could do you can only do the onside kick in the fourth quarter, and you can only do it while trailing. That's the whole point of the NFL is like it's surprise. There's no trick plays, there's no creativity. It's just that's not a good rule. I don't like it. That's boo. That's a bum. Okay, now these are probably the best two rules that the NFL has done. The only really two really incredible rules. The NFL has approved a rule to allow a replay review when there is clear and obvious visual evidence that the game clock expired for any snap. So now officials are allowed to replay if the clock went out or something, so that way they can't just give it to people. Like they can't just let the play go, because sometimes you'll look at the TV and you'll be like, it's at 0. Why are they not flagging anyone? And now they can. They can replay. And also another one, the NFL will use replay assist on intentional grounding in 2024, and they'll determine whether the QB is in or out of the pocket and whether a defender is actually close to sacking the QB within 2 yards. And that can be assisted by replay assist. So that's similar to like tennis, if you're watching tennis, they'll say, and if it's really close on in or out, they have this like camera that can track stuff and everything, and they can tell specifically where the ball landed in or out. So that's good, because if you watch a lot of games, usually the star quarterbacks get preferential treatment. They throw it away. Sometimes they won't call it on them. So that's pretty good. I think those rules are just. The last two are good because it just allows more replay for the refs when they screw up. So, but I just can't get over the hip drop tackle. Like, defense is going to be non-existent next year. Here's what I would do. If I was an NFL team, I would just load up on offense. Get the best offense possible. Get a really good kicker. Get a really good returner. And just don't focus on defense. You'll have defensive players, but guess what? With all these rules against them, might as well just load up and just try and score as many points as possible and lack no defense. So basically, I don't know. Basically, it's just so that way, the defense can't even do anything. So that's what I do. Get the best line. Just focus. Spend all your money on offense. Defense doesn't even have to be there. It can just be like rookies and backups the whole time that play for league minimum. And you'll probably still win a lot of games because the defense, like I'm reiterating here, can't do anything. So I guess that's my take. It may be fried. I think it's very crispy. I think this take is perfect because the NFL is ruining football, and it should be the NFL Players Association that decides the new rules. So that is what I think of the NFL rule changes for this upcoming season. And now my favorite part of the podcast, from burnt to crispy, we have Easter edition. So I'll be raking some Easter candies that you kind of get in your Easter basket. So our contestants today, we've got Reese's Eggs, Peeps, Jelly Beans, the cream eggs, and the chocolate eggs. So we got a lot of eggs, Easter theme, you know. So at burnt. Now I've thought about this actually a lot. And I think I'm going to have to go with jelly beans. I know it's an Easter staple, but I think there's much more bad jelly beans out there than good. Now, Starburst jelly beans are so good. They are incredible, but all the other ones, they're not good. You have to get the right jelly bean. You're always picking through your jelly beans to find the right one. You won't eat any of the others. You're always trying to find the red or the blue ones. So those are burnt. And I'm going to have to go with, oh my goodness. I think I'm going to go with cream eggs as next to last because I don't know, they got caramel. I don't really care for all the things they have inside of all the eggs, and it's just those type of eggs, the cream eggs. I don't know. Those just don't taste as, I feel like there's better. They're good. Don't get me wrong, they're good, but I think there's better. And so, that's tough. Now we got the last three are chocolate eggs, Peeps, and Reese's Eggs. And I think I'm going to go with Peeps and the 3 slot. I think Peeps are good, but I feel like I feel like a lot of these candies, like you have a few and then you're done. You won't touch it again. You won't eat it for a while. And I think you're done. I think you're kind of done with a lot of the eggs. Like you're done. What am I trying to say? You're done with the Peeps after like half the pack. You're not going to eat the full packet. Like these are half packet items, jelly beans, Peeps, the cream eggs. Like if you got a whole pack, you're not going to eat the whole thing. And you don't want to eat the whole thing in one sitting. You're probably not even going to eat the full thing. You're probably going to toss 1 or 2 out because you're done. So those are half packet. I think those are half packet food items. Now it comes down to Reese's egg and chocolate eggs, and I think you can already go where this is heading. Chocolate eggs are number 2. Chocolate eggs are solid. They're like a role player. They do their work. They have their moments. They're good. I could eat a whole packet of chocolate eggs because they're just good. They got that little crunch in them. They're good. And number 1 has to go to Reese's Eggs. I'm a Reese's fanatic, but Reese's Eggs are on a whole other level. Like, they are probably one of the best products they produce. I mean, any of the Reese's holiday are good. The Reese's Christmas trees, the Reese's Eggs, or just normal Reese's, they're all good. I think those are best. You could eat a ton of Reese's. I could eat a million of Reese's. And I just think those are the best. I think those are honestly the best candy item out of anything. Like, I think Reese's just beat everyone. They beat everyone in this scenario. Like, I think Reese's are the best candy overall. They'll be Kit Kats on any other day, Hershey's any other day. They'll beat anyone. And they're not that expensive either. They'll beat anybody because they are the best candy. And if you're allergic to peanut butter, well, that's too bad. You're missing out on a lot. You should eat it still, even if you're allergic. And also, I'm such a big fan of Reese's. They have this Reese's ice cream I took a photo of at Walmart. I got it and I ate the whole thing. And it was insane. Let me see if I can pull up a photo of it and say what it... Okay, it's Reese's. It's not... I don't know what company it's made by, but it's Reese's peanut butter, and it's with chunks of Reese's peanut butter cups and Reese's peanut butter swirl. And let me tell you this. I had this ice cream, and this is better. That was probably better than Bluebell. That ice cream was number 1, and Dr. Pepper ice cream is right there. Those are the 2 best ice creams on the planet. And this is like a bonus from burnt to crispy, because those ice creams are game changers. Let me tell you that. They are good. But anyway, back to the Easter candy. So that's how I think from burnt to crispy. So in last place, jelly beans. Starburst jelly beans are good, but overall in the jelly bean market, Jelly beans are okay. Next we have cream eggs. They're good, but they're only seasonal. Like, you won't want them a lot. Like, after Easter, you don't, I don't care. Same thing with Peeps. Peeps take the 3 slot. Oh my gosh. That didn't sound good. Peeps take the 3 slot. And, yeah, they're good, but like, you're only going to eat half a packet of Peeps. You do not want to eat the full packet. You feel, and if you do, you feel bloated. You feel horrible about yourself. That's kind of what with all of these. But once you hit chocolate eggs and Reese's eggs, you eat a whole packet and you feel fine. So chocolate eggs are number 2. They're a solid number 2. The Reese's eggs are number 1 because they're just above chocolate eggs. It's just like chocolate eggs, but really like better. And chocolate eggs has it down. So that's how I think from burnt to crispy. That's my take on Easter candies. And today in sports history, it's March 26, 2024. So I'll take you back to 1979 on this day. It was the 41st NCAA men's basketball championship. And 2 teams, Michigan State and Indiana State, played each other, with Michigan State winning 75-64. And this lineup, little did people think at this time that it would be the rivalry between Hall of Famer Magic Johnson, who played for Michigan State, and Larry Bird, who played for Indiana State. And Michigan State beating Larry Bird 75-64 just marked that rivalry of the Hall of Famers. And it was the highest rated game in the history of televised college basketball. That's just wild. Crazy, because in college, you won't see a lot of players nowadays who've played throughout their college. Like, they've been rivals since college all the way to the pros, like in deep into their pro career. Usually one does good and one kind of falls off, or they just both fall off, because college ball is different than pro ball. But these guys stuck with it. These guys were the best. And so that's just crazy. And that was on this day when that championship, today was the day that changed basketball forever in 1979. Because without Magic Johnson and Larry Bird, you don't have any of these, you don't have some stars that there are today. Like, honestly, they influenced the game all the way to now. And so that's just what I think. This game probably changed the course of history and just basketball as a whole. And so anyway, thank you for listening to this episode of the Crispy Fried Takes Sports Podcast, hosted by me. And hopefully you'll give us a follow on whatever media platform you're listening to, and keep on listening. This podcast has been amazing to grow my ability as a speaker, and hopefully I can pursue a career in this with this practice that keeps on happening every day. And you keep on listening, and guess what? The next episode is going to get better. Like I've always been saying, we're just going to keep getting better and better. So let this episode sizzle in a bit, and I'll catch you here next week with me. Have a good Easter weekend, and thank y'all, and have a good one.